Hear me out when I say anime is not entertainment. I repeat, anime is not entertainment. And by the end of this video, you understand exactly what I mean when I say that. Now, the thing about stories is that today, most of it is entertainment. You know, anime, movies, TV series, whether you're streaming on Netflix, Amazon, Crunchyroll, and all the other stuff in other countries that I have no idea about. But most of them, it's about entertainment. That's why people really go there. But originally, that's not what stories were. If we turn back the clock how many thousands or whatever number of years that you want, stories were originally about information. Where information could be passed around less simply, stories, whether told verbally or through pictures or by writings, were about informations and knowledge and lessons, teaching people about morals and health and just general life lessons. That's what stories were used for. Now, this is used very great in an anime called Dr. Stone, where they have 100 stories that the characters use to learn. A short explanation of this is that we have some characters who are from the future, and they're not really, but let's just assume that they're from the future, and they tell the characters living in this primitive village about some important stuff on technology, on health, and they use 100 illustrative stories to get this information across. And so the people in this village know a lot about life, and while they may not know the exact dynamics of it, they understand it generally through these 100 stories. And that's what stories originally are. It's just a way of transmitting information. Now, at the core of a lot of religions, that's the same thing. A lot of religions just transmit lessons on life, right? Morals and health and how we should live our lives in a certain religion. And that is basically the same thing. Although maybe what religion does it through stories and other statements and laws, they both kind of try to do the same thing with stories originally and religion. Now, moving away from stories in general and back to specifically talking about anime and why this is not entertainment is because it's more than just entertainment. Now, obviously, I can't just say it's not entertainment because we all are entertained when we watch our favorite animes or read our favorite mangas. There is entertainment there. But it is definitely more than entertainment. And I'm sure that all of us at some point have come by a series which we thought, this is definitely not entertainment. Like, definitely, it's not really. Maybe you might be entertained by parts of it, but mostly you're not really reading or watching it for entertainment at all. Now, although these are manga, here are 3 examples of series which, for me, they're just not entertainment at all in any way. Number 1, this Cursed Dojin. I am not even going to say the name of this. You can go find the source of that yourself. But this doujin, unlike a lot of other doujins that are, about adult content and pleasure in that way, this one, although it has, visuals of that, it is not about that, right? There's nothing super fun about this experience that you go through consuming this. A lot of what's in it is a lot of bringing awareness around that certain lifestyles that characters will have, bringing a more realistic side. Of course, we all know the debates and discussions that go up when people talk about only just romanticizing everything about it, but not really talking about the dark side and the sad side to all of it. And this story is basically that. It highlights the saddest part of all these things that are just, talked about in different media and entertainment, whatever kind, whether it's adult, whether it's for everyone, and really brings a light to all the parts of the over-sexualized things that we look at and consume in today's society, but that we don't really talk about and we push to the back of our minds as if it doesn't exist. Then you have this series over here called Futari Ecchi. And this is a series that's really just sex education. It is sex education in the form of a story of a couple that gets married and is now trying to figure out because they didn't get any sex education. And a lot of people find this useful because a lot of people in their families or societies don't get any sex education. And so when they read this, it's kind of information and information that they really appreciate because the characters in the story go through similar things they do, have almost the same exact thoughts. You can go check some of these out for yourself, and this is just very educational, not really entertainment. And then we have Goodnight Punpun, which is about a lot of depression and the story of a character going through life and how things can just go from worse to even more worse. And it just talks about some of these things in the life of someone like that. And so looking at these three examples and what we talked about earlier with storytelling, anime and manga are not just entertainment. They are media. They are much more profound than just simply entertainment. They have stories that inform people about life and about the way people live life. They are very educational at the same time and present ideas in very relatable ways and talk about different controversial topics or very interesting topics that someone might have. But they're not just limited in just being one or the other. They're not just educational manga and anime. There's not just informational anime and manga. Anime has also crafted itself in a very interesting way because anime mixes everything that it wants to be alongside entertainment and gives an all-round immersive experience. So when you consume anime and manga, while you are consuming very important stuff, you're also consuming it in an entertaining way. Or sometimes you want to consume entertainment, but while you consume entertainment, very important topics are brought up. Two very good examples are One Piece and Attack on Titan. One Piece is a story about freedom, about being a pirate. It's about going out to sea and chasing your dreams. But at the same time, One Piece treats very many specific and relatable topics, such as racism, such as what does it mean to be free? What does it mean to have a government that takes care of its people, but at the same time allows its people to be the best versions of themselves? What does it look like in a controlling society? Is control sometimes necessary? On the other hand, Attack on Titan, while it is very interesting with the people running around, with all the Sasageyos that we talk about, Attack on Titan is also very much steeped in a lot of history, but also answers very important questions on what it means to make good decisions. How do you make good decisions? What informs the decisions we made? And I talk about this in one of my videos, which I will mention at the end of this one. So the point is, anime is not just entertainment. And even for the people who are not doing analysis every time they watch a series, they just want to turn their brains off and watch something nice, anime always finds a way of highlighting important lessons it wants to teach or get across within the entertainment. And so you get stuck in it because it's very entertaining, but you also learn something because of the way it's presented to you. However, this is a double-edged sword because this is why some people fail or just can't get into anime for a long time. Because on the surface, they can't see it as anything more than hollow entertainment and very wacky drawings. But for those of us who know anime better than this, we know that anime discusses topics like racism, morality, depression, internet culture, chasing your dreams, and being realistic at the same time. What it means to be talented or not, what it means to put hard work in, what it means when you try to be a good person, getting second chances, relationships with family and friends, freedom, leadership, and the list goes on about all the things that anime talks about and teaches. And just like books, novels, documentary, anime and manga are very much just media. When someone says they're reading a book, you don't just assume what is in that book. You ask them, is it a fictional book? Is it an informational book? Is it a school book? You don't just assume anything about it just because it's a book. And I think the same is true for anime and manga. Just having or watching a manga or anime doesn't necessarily mean it's purely entertainment. Doesn't mean that you don't get anything out of it. It's why so many people make videos about what they've learned and how their lives have changed because of anime. And because anime has this power to talk about stuff that people face in the world today and how their lives should go on and teach life lessons that are relative to the century that we're living in, anime tends to be way more popular. Because religion has the same goals, it has the same ideals in it, trying to teach people about life and morals and what's beyond just living your life day to day. But a lot of the things that it does seem to be out of date, seem to be out of fashion, not really cool and very interesting to people living today. People still tell the same stories from maybe 50, 80 years ago today in people's churches. So religion seems to be very out of date, but anime and manga seems to have this thing that people can relate to and find entertaining at the same time. Now, at the end of the day, I'm not saying that religion can't change people's lives. It does. It does all the time. But the problem with religion is that a lot of the times, because of the methods that religion uses, a lot of the changes that people have are very radical, right? People talk about how they went from the worst of worst situations in their life to finding religion and their life being turned around. But that's not most people. Most people are not in very terrible situations. Most people are just living day-to-day lives. Most people just, they have a life that's okay and they're not struggling so much, going through something unbearable. While that is a significant portion of people in the world, it is not most people. And most people, because of that, don't find religion that interesting. Because religion is for people who are struggling like that in a lot of people's minds, not for the day-to-day person. But on the other hand, looking at people in general, anime has done both. It caters towards people who are at their lowest moments. People who just didn't know what to do with their lives, people who were depressed, people who were sad, and people who were trying to find an escape. But at the same time, it helps people who are just a regular person. A regular person who just wants to learn a bit more about a certain topic. A regular person who's not even looking to learn about a certain topic, but gets a message given to them through their favorite anime, and changes their life just a little bit whether they know it or not. And so anime reaches more than just what religion tries to. Anime reaches the person who's just going through a day-to-day life because they can see themselves in the characters of their favorite shows. They can see how what's going on in the show affects how their life is. And so at the end of the day, anime is not entertainment. It's more than that. It's media. And that's what separates it from cartoons for me. It's not really about, is it made in Japan, so it's anime. If it's not, then we have to find some other word for it. It's more about that thing that you can't really put your hand on. It's about it being more than just entertainment. Because if it's just purely entertainment, then for me, that's really just a cartoon. But anime is more than that, even though anime is just short for animation.